What's going on? It is Craig Bennett, aka Cash Cake here. We're going to do an NFL video for Saturday's wild card round for the AFC, where we got the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. Should be a fun one. Looks like they broke out the slates. We got 2 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday, and then we got the 1 game on Monday. So total of 6 games. I'll do videos for this, and then I think I'm gonna do the showdown for Vegas and Cincinnati, because I think that's gonna be the game where a lot of points are gonna be scored, and it's gonna be a fun one. So again, if you like these videos, hit that thumbs up for me. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll keep knocking these videos out for you. I think I'm gonna drop a Prize Picks one for NBA as well here this morning. Someone requested that, so we'll do one of those as well. But again, if you're not a member of DFSArmy, use the link below. Use promo code CashCake. Save yourself 10%. We're going to have projections already been loaded. I'm going to use our optimizer, which is the domination station, and kind of talk through the slate, kind of talk how I'm going to attack the slate. We'll go through, each team, each position. But again, you can build 150, 300 lineups in there real easily. And we'll have everybody in there and hopefully win some money. And yeah, it should be a fun 2-game slate. Let's just dig right into it. All right, as you can see, I have our domination station, which is our optimizer over at DFSArmy, up for Saturday's slate. I have it on DraftKings right now. Set it up. You get these questions all the time. How do you set these things up? I'll let Geek go more into that. I'm sure he'll do a Players Club video or another video where how he sets up his 150. I do it a little bit differently. The big thing though is on these 2-game slates, definitely players versus defense. Make sure you set it to 1, 2, 3, or 4. I'm gonna put it at 4 because I don't really care how many players I have against my defense. You're just looking for sacks and turnovers when it comes to that. So I'm not gonna be, definitely don't have a 0. If you want 1 or 2, but I like to leave it around 4 in these 2-game slates. Uniques, we get this all the time. If anyone ever asks me this, I run 1 unique always, because as I adjust the projections how I see fit, that's how I'm getting different. So I don't want to spread everything out. If you ask different people, if you want to spread out a lot, some people use up to 5 uniques. That's not the way I play. I've always played 1 unique and it's been successful for me. So that's the way I use that. But again, I've reminded you, we can go up to 5 or 300 here at DFSArmy. Optimal tournament mode, it doesn't really matter. And off projections. So again, I'm just going to kind of talk through the slate, talk through each position, kind of, maybe some chalk we can look at fading, others that, we should be eating, maybe some players that complete, completely here on DraftKings, and then we'll head on over to FanDuel and do something very similar as well. But again, let's start with the quarterbacks here. Again, Josh Allen, 7,900, Joe Burrow, 7,300, Derek Carr, 5,800, and Mac Jones, 5,300. As you can see, Mac Jones is not going to be that high owned. With the salary in general, I don't think you need the savings to get down to Mac Jones. He's been basically a game manager. Derek Carr is going to be throwing the ball a ton. In the games that he played against Buffalo, the 1-win game back on December 6th, he only threw the ball 3 times. We can't really count that game where he put up 0.46 DK points. So that game we got to kind of throw out the window. That was a crazy win game. But the other game on the day after Christmas on the 26th, he only ended up putting 7.1 DK points up. And I just think it's an easy fade here. Again, we don't need the salary savings, and I'd much rather just pay 800 or 500 more for Derek Carr. So it's an easy just cross off the list. I'm not trying to play everybody. Take some stands. I really like the slates where we can just pick 1 quarterback. I think you can make a case for all 3 of these guys, at their respective price points. I think you can make a case for all 3 of these guys. So I'm going to keep 3 of them in, just because, Derek Carr lets you get some more elite receivers. But the Joe Burrow and Josh Allen are going to be the most popular, but that doesn't mean, Derek Carr could not get there against Cincinnati. So I'm going to leave off those 3 guys and take Mac Jones. Over here at the running back position, Joe Mixon, 7,100, Josh Jacobs, 6,600, Damien Harris is 6,400. Singletary's been on a really good run here. They've been using him a lot more, not so much Moss at all. The last 4 games, he's been doing extremely well, getting a lot of workload where he's hit if we look back in just at the last game against the New England Patriots back on the 26th of December, he went 12 rushes for 39 yards, which is not great, but he did get a touchdown. And the big thing is the receptions. He went 5 receptions for 39 yards on 6 targets. He ended up with 18 DraftKings points. So if he didn't get in the box, he still would have around 13. I think that's fair for that price. I think you can still play him. He's going to be super popular, which I get. But they just kind of phased out Zach Moss, and I don't think we'll see a lot of Breida. So Moss at 4,500 down here. I don't mind to keep him in there. If you think maybe something happens to Singletary, or maybe he gets a touchdown in the end zone, but I don't love Zach Moss very much. But if you want to keep him in your player pool, I understand. But yeah, I mean, if you look at Singletary, 25, 23, 18, 16 over his last 4, and he's just been the workhorse back, for them. And so I think we continue to see that. So I think it's chalk for sure, but it's some chalk that I'm okay eating a little bit. I wouldn't go 100% on anybody on the slate, but it's a guy that I'm definitely looking at. And then we got Ronnie Stevenson here and Damien Harris. I think at the respective price points at 6,400 on draft, or 6,400, 5,100. I think I would make a rule and set a rule up where I only want one of these guys in a lineup. I wouldn't want two. I don't think they both get there. So if you're going to play, Harris is probably going to get most of the workload. He's fine. He's back. But they have the lowest implied team total on the slate at 20. Back to Singletary, his rush prop is 59.5. So you kind of have to like that. It's actually just right near Josh Jacobs. He's sitting at 62 rush yards for his prop, and Joe Mixon's at 75.5 for his rush prop, for you just looking at props wise. So again, I'm okay with having some Stevenson in there, but I would make a rule where I only want one of Damien Harris or Stevenson. I wouldn't want both in there. Samaje Perine, he burned a lot of people last week with Cincinnati just playing their backups, and Evans and I can't remember the other guy that got some work. Evans ain't going to be in here in a playoff game. I ain't going to touch him. Same kind of thing with Bolden. Yes, at 4,800, I don't want it. I'd rather pay 300 more with Stevenson. I don't think Bolden's going to get a ton of work. But, again, it's one of those things. If you're going to have all 3 of these Patriot running backs in your backfield, I would not run more than one. At this playoff game, I just think that I think they're going to run, but if they get behind and they have to throw the ball, I just don't love them. So I'm personally going to take Bolden out of my player pool. Same thing. I'm going to take, Johnson out here. Jalen Richard, I'm definitely going to keep though at 4K. If they get behind, he can definitely catch some balls. So I don't mind taking, having a little bit of him for the Raiders. But that's basically what I'm looking at. I don't really love Perine. But it's one of those things where I'd make a rule. I don't want Perine and Mixon in the same lineup. I only think Perine gets there if Mixon, gets hurt or something happens to him. So don't really love him, but it's one of those things where if you're running 150 lineups and you have a little splash and you're forcing some of him in, then I would make a rule where I don't want both of them in there because they're both not going to get there. So those are some of the rules that I would make. Same kind of thing, Zach Moss at 4,500. I don't want him and Singletary in the same lineup. If Moss gets there, Singletary probably doesn't. So there's just a bunch of other wide receivers I'd rather take chances on than some of these running backs. I'm okay if you decided, no, I don't even want to take a chance on any of these guys, and I just want to take a pool and be like, no, I'm only going to run these 5 running backs. And I'd be perfectly fine with that and comfortable and take more shots at the wide receiver at your flex position. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, the running back position. Wide receiver, we got Jamar Chase, 7,800. Man, he's just been so great this year. At the top, Stefon Diggs, 7,500. I was looking up to see how he did against Buffalo the last couple years. He hasn't really done that bad. We've looked at the 2 games. We had to wipe that one out on December 6th where he caught 4 balls for 51 yards, but there was freaking a zillion miles an hour wind, so you couldn't really do that. But the game on the 26th, he had 13 targets, caught 7 balls, 85 and a touchdown. So Stefon Diggs, you have to consider here. Same with Jamar Chase. I think Burrow's gonna lean on him pretty heavily here. And they just got great receivers, him, Higgins, and Boyd. Again, this is one of those things where I wouldn't run all 3 wide receivers in the same. I would say I would want most to 2. So if you set a rule up, of Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, I love them all. You're gonna have to play. I think one of them definitely gets there. Maybe you want to force one guy in your lineup. but I definitely would make a rule where I wouldn't want all three in the same lineup. Hunter Renfrow at 6,400. Again, I think he's going to lean on him pretty heavily. Derek Carr, it's just the targets he gets is just absolutely insane. You have to love him in this game. He's going to be popular. I get it, but he's popular for a good reason. Jacoby Myers, if you think they're going to get behind at 5K, I don't mind taking some shots at him. I kind of feel like, if Buffalo gets out, just kind of looking at his props a little bit. He's got a 40 and a half yard reception prop. Boyd's got a 42 and a half. So it tells you how much more Cincinnati's probably going to sling the rock. T Higgins, for 6,200, he's got 70 and a half receiving prop on him. Renfro's only got 54 and a half, which is pretty surprising. I might look to take the over on that one. A lot of his, though, are pretty short routes and not so much yardage, but that seems kind of low to me. I think I might look and snab a prop bet on the over on Renfro there, just because I feel like they're going to have to run a bunch here. Stephon Diggs is 66 and a half, and Jamar Chase is at 73 and a half. So, Higgins and Chase props are way up there. So if you want to take a little bit of a discount and go down to Higgins at 6,200, they got very similar reception props here. But again, no problem playing him. Down here, Kendrick Bourne, again, 4,400 is a interesting price on him if you feel like they're going to get behind. And then we got to talk about the Buffalo wide receiver situation. So Emmanuel Sanders did come back to practice yesterday. So what that's going to do is just kind of, we'll have to see later in the week exactly what's going to happen. But between him and Gabriel Davis, Gabe Davis has just played way too well for them not to give him snaps. So I still think he's going to get some snaps, and they might, it might be one of those situations where Gabe Davis out snaps Sanders because Sanders has been out the last 2 weeks, and they kind of eat into each other. I prefer taking some shots more at Gabe Davis over, say, Cole Beasley or Sanders. We have Beasley being the second highest owned receiver on this team behind Diggs. But I would say, let's take more shots on Gabriel Davis. I think he has the most upside, and then still some of Beasley and Sanders. Now, at their respective prices here, unlike the Bengals, I think you can play some of these guys cheap. You can play. It wouldn't surprise me if he had, Diggs have a huge game, and then also Gabriel Davis, two of these guys, and it wouldn't surprise me if maybe three of them had a big game. So I definitely wouldn't play all four of them in the lineup, and I really wouldn't like three of them. I'd probably want mainly of two, but it wouldn't bother me as much with how cheap that they are on this 2-game slate. If they slung the ball around a lot and they got there. Then on the Raiders, you have to take some shots at Edwards down here at 3,300, and Deshaun Jackson, 3,100. You hate playing him. You're burning lineups playing him, but at the same time, all it takes is one bomb, and if he catches a 70-yarder touchdown over Cincinnati, he's going to be in the optimal lineup at 3,100. So you have to take shots on him. I don't really want him to kill Harry, but you got to consider those. With Emmanuel Sanders coming back, it does hurt McKenzie. Now they get him the ball in space a little bit, but it's hard for me to consider playing him, over these other guys down here for the Raiders or, Gabe Davis. It's hard to say. I might have him in my player pool, but not a guy I'm looking at. And then Zay Jones, he's been targeted a ton lately, and it's at 4K. He's going to be super, super, chalk, but I mean, if we looked at his last 4 games, 8 targets, 5 for 27, 10 targets, 8 for 120, 8 targets, 6 for 50, 9 targets, 6 for 67. He's getting it done. And, in his one game in Cincinnati, yes, he only had 2 targets, 1 for 20 yards, but this is, before, he's started to get more as a role in this offense and more comfortable with Carr with all the stuff that happened to Ruggs. So I think this is something that I'm okay eating chalk with him. He's just way too cheap, and I'd much rather go to him than Beasley if I'm picking one here. And he's definitely going to be popular. And so if you're choosing between him and Beasley, it's Zay Jones for me. It's not even close. I think with Sanders and Gabe Davis, I think Beasley's going to struggle a little bit. He hasn't been that great this year. they'll lean on Diggs and some of these other guys. So at that 4K price is going to be expensive, and I'll have a ton of him for sure. At the tight ends for a 2-game slate, it is very interesting. We got a lot of choices here. Usually you can pick 1 or 2 guys out, but I think you can make the case for a good majority of these guys. I don't want any Drew Sample here. Could he catch a touchdown? Sure. If you want to have him in your player pool, I get it. Jonnu Smith, not someone I'm super excited about, but I'd rather play him over Sample. Foster Moreau, I'm okay playing him even with Darren Waller back. He's 3,100 and he can still catch the ball and still be used. So I would definitely want him in my player pool. CJ Uzomah, of course, 3,500 is too cheap. With how much they throw the ball, he's going to be, again, second most popular tight end on the slate behind Waller. And then Dawson Knox, we know, he's got double touchdown upside anytime he's on the field here. And at 5,100, he's not going to be used that much. So in the second game, he did catch a touchdown against the Patriots in the game that wasn't the win game, but only on 3 targets, 2 for 11 and a touchdown. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a touchdown out of him, but I don't think that is going to get it done if he gets you 9 or 10 fantasy points. Hunter Henry would be more interest in him, than I would Knox. Just, I think the volume's going to have to be there. If they get behind, he's definitely looked, Mac Jones has definitely looked for him. Even last game against Miami, he saw 6 targets, 5 for 86 yards, put up 13 DraftKings points. Saw 6 targets against Buffalo the game after Christmas, but only caught 1 for 9 yards. But again, he's got 15, 20 point upside, and he's probably tournament-wise, I might have the most out of him over CJ Uzomah and Waller. Waller's going to be super popular. I get it. And I'm going to have a good amount of him. But if I'm trying to save a little bit here, 1,200 to try to get up some of these more top tier wide receivers, that's might be a way I can go. If I see the game script going where Buffalo gets up early and, New England has to play catch up, well, then I don't really want to play a ton of those running backs, and I want to play some of the pass catchers. And I just feel the best about Henry out of all the pass catchers, maybe a little bit of Bourne and Myers, but that price point at Henry, when the chalk's going to be at Waller, it's just one thing that you can kind of look at, when you're doing these things. And then in a defense, you got to play all of these guys, it's one of those things where, you're just looking for sacks, you're looking for, fumble recoveries, and, you got to have a little bit of all of them. So yeah, Mac Jones in his first playoff game here, where he got the Bills at home, they're going to be the most popular. Like you don't go all in on a defense by far, but they're going to be the most popular. I understand that. The Bengals going against Carr. Carr loves to chuck the ball. He gets in trouble a lot. So I get the Bengals there. And then again, you can never count out Belichick and the Patriots. They can always turn the ball over. So you just kind of take a chance at all these guys and see where they fit. And as you run things, maybe, but I don't want massive chalk on any defense. So I don't want 60% Bills. I just don't want that. I'd rather take a chance on a little bit of everybody and see how things fit. So it's a slate that's kind of wide open for a 2-gamer here. Like you said, I'm really only getting rid of Mac Jones. Like I said, I'm okay if you want to get rid of everybody and just play these 5 running backs and make that rule. Or like I said, if you wanted to, throw a Moss or some of these guys in and make some rules, I'm okay with that as well. Let's head on over to FanDuel real quick and just kind of see where we're looking at price-wise over here. Quarterback position, Josh Allen, again, 8,800, Joe Burrow, 7,800. You get a significant discount on Joe Burrow here, but that rushing upside of Allen is kind of hard to pass up. So, you're going to have some of that. Mac Jones, 6,500, Derek Carr, 6,800. That's another one of those things. I'm just not playing Mac Jones. If he beats me, he beats me. Like Carr's going to have to do more. I don't love it. I'm just unchecking him. I'll play a good mix of these other guys. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet, depending on when I do my builds, but I'm definitely going to have 3 of them. The running back position, Joe Mixon on FanDuel's 8,500, Damien Harris 7,500, Josh Jacobs 7,200, Devin Singletary is at 6,900. And again, this is, with FanDuel, it's more touchdown dependent. So for me, it's way easier to get rid of some of these guys. So I don't want Evans. Bolden could sneak one in. It wouldn't surprise me there. I'd have more interest over here on FanDuel than I would DraftKings. P. Ryan, I don't want any of that. Moss at 5,200. It's hard for me to play Moss over Ramondre Stevenson just because I think Stevenson's going to get more work. But Moss could get, down. It wouldn't surprise me if, they get down to the red zone, even though Singletary has seen a lot of work down in the red zone attempts. I was pulling up and looking at the stats for him earlier. And over the last 4 games, he's had 6, 8, 5, and 5 red zone attempts. So you kind of have to love that. Then when we pull Moss up over those same 4 games and kind of look at those stats, he's not getting it. He's got 1 red zone attempt over the last four games. So it's definitely been Singletary. So I don't mind getting rid of Moss there. Like I said, Bolden, if you want to, I might do the same thing here. Get rid of all 4 of these guys. Make a rule where I don't want, both Harris and Stevenson, unless you think New England gets up and they just pound the rock with both of them. That'd be the only way that I would keep both those in. But those lineups, I think I would hand build. But you have to think that those are the guys that scored all the touchdowns, and you would fade all the wide receivers for New England if you're doing it that way. I just don't see that happen. I think this Buffalo, they're tired of the Belichick era getting screwed all the time. So I think they're going to put some points up, and it's going to be more catch up time. So again, very similar over here on FanDuel than compared to DraftKings. Wide receivers, Jamar Chase 8,200, Diggs 8K, Renfro 7,300. I like Renfro better on DraftKings and FanDuel just because of the full PPR. But still, I'll have some Renfro. But I'd rather play down Higgins. I think the touchdown equity for Higgins is just way higher than it is for Renfro. And Vegas has to agree. His over half touchdown is plus 141, where Renfro's is plus 158. So Chase is actually the only one he's minus 107 to score a touchdown. Everybody else is plus money. So if that tells you that they don't plan on getting him in the box. And then Tyler Boyd 6K, you have to love that as well. I gave you all those receiving props earlier. And then if we come down here, Jacoby Myers 5,900. I'd rather have Boyd. But if they're going to be playing from behind, I get it. Bourne, same kind of thing. I don't love these guys right here. I'd rather come down to Zay Jones at 5,300, Gabe Davis 5,200. He's just been electric, and it wouldn't surprise me if he gets in the box here. And then no N'Keal Harry for me. McKenzie, they do some funky things with him if you're going to get super funky, but at that price, and again, you got to keep Deshaun Jackson in here just for that long touchdown. It only takes 1 and then he'll be in the nuts. So I hate playing guys like this because you're burning lineups unless he does it, but you're also not going to win any money if you don't. So you have to take chances with guys like this. Nelson Aguilar, 5K. Can't get super excited about any of these guys. I think I'm more of the cheap, Gabriel Davis, Zay Jones. If you're building, single entry stuff, I'd be in this range. And I definitely like take your chances over Zay Jones and Davis over Cole Beasley. Just with what he's done lately, I don't love it. And I'd rather take chances on Bourne as well. So I really don't like how much projected ownership he's going to get. Over at tight end, very similar. I don't want any Sample. I don't really want any Smith. I'm fine with keeping this batch here. Waller 6,300, Dawson Knox 6K. So this is very easy. But Knox is, again, that's what he does, is catch touchdowns. So you got to have him in there. If we see a big game out of Waller, then he's going to be the most popular by far. We got 61% ownership compared to Knox's 15. Maybe you want to have a more even 30% and take some shots there. But if we go look back, Waller on November 21st against Cincinnati, he caught 7 balls for 116, put up 15 FanDuel points. So if he's healthy, he's by far the tight end one. But I don't mind taking some shots at Knox or Henry here. These guys are all Henry, Zomo, and Moreau. I don't want a ton of these guys. And then defense, same kind of thing. You just kind of, Bills are 4,500, Bengals 4,300, Patriots 38, Raiders 33. You don't get rid of any of them because you might need the savings. And if the Raiders sack Burrow or intercept him for take one back, they're going to be in the nut lineup. So it's one of those things you just kind of have to play everybody and just make sure we go back to this. You definitely put, max players or at least 1 or 2 against your defense, because I don't care how many players against my defense. The defense is just whatever slots in there. Like, I don't care. I'm not forcing a defense in. I don't think you need to on this slate. And that's kind of how I see it. So with that, if you're not a member of DFSArmy, head on over there, sign up, use promo code CashCake, save yourself 10%, get our cheat sheets, get in there, talk some shop. I'm sure Geek will have some videos up on this as well and kind of go through our domination station for our VIP members. And if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you, and let's win some money this weekend. Deuces.